The second thing, which probably a lot of you are aware of, which again many people don't want to talk about, is the promotion of the homosexual agenda. Like in Islam, the act itself is haram. This isn't being homophobic or anything, but like I said, it is a global initiative that's being rolled out to push it in all schools worldwide around the globe. They've got human rights lawyers involved on how to kind of make countries comply with this. The government have said LGBT, which is lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans, has to be taught in schools. They're recommending that it is taught as integral. What that means that children from 4 aren't just going to have a discrete lesson about that it's good to be gay. They're actually going to be rolled out across the whole curriculum. For example, you could have a maths question, so Mr. and Mr. Smith want to go on honeymoon, they need £1,000, they've got 200, how much do they need? So they are normalising same-sex relationships. There's a whole load of storybooks ready that are actually already in schools, such as Heather Has 2 Mummies, story about homosexual penguins, you know, and they do it in a very clever, insidious way to brainwash our children. And it is brainwashing. I'm a psychologist, so I'm not speaking out of turn. It's actually a long social engineering program to corrupt our children. Because if you get the hearts and minds of the children, you create the revolution. They're trying to split parent from child by taking away parental rights. They're getting children to actually question their religion, their cultural background. If a parent says, if a child says, actually, my mother doesn't agree with me, the school will support the child and social services could be called in under the name of emotional abuse. So it's been well thought out. It kind of emits from the sexual revolution in the 60s. It's a lot of psychology involved, lots of things like radical feminism that is out to destroy men. This is another kind of aspect of it. The transgender movement, critical theory, various kind of streams are all fusing. So this has been going on for decades, but we're like at the crest of the wave at the moment. I don't know if anybody saw, but even on the BBC recently, there was a clip of a primary school where 6-year-olds were told to write a love letter to a person of the same sex. This is happening in our schools. It's not something that's coming, it is already happening, and we have to be aware of this. We have to speak out. Our ulama need to be strong and speak out on these issues to guide the community. There's one thing me saying it, but I'm not anybody in the community. We need clear guidance on what is halal, what is haram, what our rights are. And by speaking our truth and speaking our religion, doesn't mean that we're transphobic or homophobic. We're protected by the Equality Act as well, but we're too shy or we're too retiring to actually claim our own rights in fear of that we're going to be sort of gunned down for hate speech. Nobody is condoning hate speech or hate towards anybody. That's not part of our religion. But to speak our truth and to say what needs to be said, to protect our children, which are the future generations, we have to do this, because otherwise 20 years from now we would have lost our generations, we'd have lost Islam. Sadly, there are many of the Muslim youth that are already turning into same-sex relationships because they haven't had the guidance and various other reasons. So it's actually in our community. I think the Muslim community for the gay movement is the final frontier. Up until now, like Christianity has come to it. Up until now, the Muslims have been very staunch against it. But there's a concerted effort now where they're kind of queering the Muslim community. And it's becoming more and more prevalent. And again, we need to speak out about that. That's not to say if people in our community have same-sex attraction that we ostracize them. Not at all. We need to work with them. We don't condone the behavior, but we need to work psychologically or in a mental health capacity with these people. The other thing is, again, people may be aware, which kind of follows on, is a transgender movement. So the idea that if I feel like I'm a man today, I am a man. Actually ignore scientific fact, biology, anything like that. This is gaining increased traction, although in my psychological definition, it's actually a mass delusion that's going on, and actually everybody is colluding with it, the government included. It's a highly dangerous ideology that's being pushed, again, in schools. This is going to come in under the pretext of gender identity and stereotypes, so that's how they start infiltrating it. And then they're going to get children to question, well, actually, what do you feel you are? That's more important than what biologically you are. It's a highly aggressive movement. As I said, they've got government in the palm of their hand, they've got the army, they've got various different sectors of society.